Alright, listen up, Scurbs. We're here to make some money and make it with minimal effort, so bust out the Unity Engine Game Maker, download some ready-made assets, and sign that merch deal with Hot Topic, because it's time to make some horror games. The essence of the horror game is beauty and simplicity. Simple in that it looks really, really dark, so graphical fidelity ceases mattering, and beauty in that you can't tell the game looks horrible because it's so dark. So long as it's dark and you don't have a gun, making a horror game is easy. The only thing easier these days is getting Funko to license your stuff into pop figures, but one step at a time. Horror comes in a small number of flavors, and you can pick your favorite, insofar as most software machines offer 2 flavors in a swirl: runners, hiders, and sitters. In a runner, you're plunked into some kind of field, usually a dark, spooky forest, since those have lots of lots of potential for nature's repeating textures to disorient you, while the brass band riding on your back makes a ton of noise whenever the monster is near and or in view, depending on how badly you want to copy Slender the 8 pages. Speaking of which, making a monster is easy and requires no effort at all. Take the template, the adjective man, or if you really want to break the mold, the adjective woman. Any effort into making the monster beyond that is effort not being spent on merchandising. Just make it bigger, faster, and a one-hit death. That should motivate your players to run at the sight of it. That being done, we'll need an objective. Collecting objects is a popular one, as is clearing a maze. For sound design, just make it really quiet when you're safe and obnoxiously loud when in danger. That's the runner in a nutshell. Next is the hider. This game usually have budgets on the above shoestring threshold and almost always take place in locations that the player's character should already know better than to enter, and the enemy is either a big, scary monster man that killed everyone inside, or the enemy is everyone inside. Remember, psychoses are to be mocked and ridiculed and played for cheap drama. Don't bother researching actual mental health conditions or the, frankly, actually terrifying conditions under which asylums used to be run. Remember, merchandising. Just put scary, bald men in white straitjackets and have them shout things that sound ominous and have blood writing on the walls that vaguely implicates the player of some kind of wrongdoing. Words like traitor or liar or modern political discourse should be enough to send chills down the unassuming explorer's spine. Since enemies should be everywhere and death plentiful, because there's no way anyone can become numb to horror by experiencing it over and over again. Remember, don't study psychology. Your means of defending yourself should include broom closets and boxes that you can duck into. Never mind that all gameplay experiences will be turned into coin flips as to whether the AI should find you or not. That's not important. Of course, the hider is the one time that, in the last leg of your game, you can throw out all established grounded settings and have magic powers just be a thing. Literally, all hiders do this. It's a great way to get your hero out alive after slogging through sheer, tedious, unfun, frustrating gimmicks for the 7-hour runtime. Your player will totally forgive everything else that the horror atmosphere has traded off for a generic action game in the last moments, for realsies. And lastly, for people who desperately want that sweet, sweet Scott Cawthon dosh, are the sitters. Never mind that these weren't popular until Five Nights at Freddy's at all. You're not an unoriginal hack. It's an homage to a fellow horror franchise. All you need is an implausible reason to be in a dark room with things that murder children for some reason. Much like indie platformers, the more dead kids your game has, the better. While you could try to be innovative and explore different avenues of human psychology by having the enemies be directly reflective of the player or main character's fears and phobias, some popular ones including scotophobia, fear of the dark, arachnophobia, fear of politicians, or homophobia, a fear of words that sound alike but are spelled differently. But no, don't do that. That would be time out of merchandising. And that just won't do. Just rip off Scott Cawthon. Doesn't matter the polarizing nature of his work. We have money to make, so get rich quicker. Get out of the way. Throw in some cheap jump scares and we finish the sitter. Regardless of which of these 3 you pick, there are some universal constants. For instance, you'll need gore. Lots and lots of gore. Doesn't matter if it makes sense. In fact, it's better that it doesn't. Because here's the beauty of horror storytelling. Don't tell a story in your horror game. You only want the vaguest of hints of a possible storyline in the horror game just so you can keep the Reddits tweeting. That's how Reddit works, right? I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Anyway, getting your fans to advertise for you is the best means of advertising since it won't cost you anything. That's a win-win. And then, once you see fan theories that are too close to your actual ideas that you had in your head and no intention of putting on paper, you can just change the story completely and point out how wrong they all are. It's completely flawless since no one can call you out on sister locationing your fans on account there's no documentation to the contrary. Remember what I always say, over-explaining is the same as undertailing, and you want to avoid that like the plague it is. So what have we learned? Darkness, brass band, low graphical fidelity, writing optional, dead kids. Got it? Good. Congrats! You can now make horror games like a boss. Sure, you're flooding an already flooded market with no original ideas, but it's what everyone else is doing and you won't be noticed for good or ill, up until you finally break from your genius not being recognized and go back to making H games. You're welcome.